Evans Reva Perry Evans of Wadesboro, North Carolina, both born and raised in Rocky Hawk, Chowan County. Paternal grandparents are Ethel Harold Perry and the late James Cole Perry of Rocky Hawk Road. Paternal grandparents are Melvin Lewis Evans and the late Clara May Byron Evans of Rocky Hawk Road. Chris graduated from Perkins High School in Hartford. He earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from Campbell University, Cruz Creek, North Carolina. He earned his master's in public administration from Webster University, St. Louis, Missouri. He earned his project management professional certificate. He is a graduate of U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Officer Basic Advanced Course, Fort Linwood, Missouri. He is still very active in the military. Major Evans military awards and decorations include a Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Army Commendation Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, the Army Achievement Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, the Meritorious Unit Award, Superior Unit Award, National Defense Medal Iraq Campaign, Medal Global War on Terrorism, Expeditionary Medal Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and the Army Service Ribbon Overseas Ribbon and Combat Action Badge. Major Evans is married to the former Terry Kim Carter of Fayetteville, North Carolina. They also have 3 children, Carter, deceased, Khalid, and Hunter. At this time, I would like to present to you Major Christopher Evans.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming out today. It's going on about 90 degrees, so I'll try and keep this short, but on message. Additionally, I'd like to thank the singers. You guys did a great job over there, as well as the Johnny Holmes High School ROTC flag detail. Before we can talk about Memorial Day, I want to tell you about a trip that I just recently took to Washington, D.C. I know Mr. Green just talked about taking a bus trip to Washington, D.C. For you guys in a couple months. I took my wife and kids up to Washington, D.C. where we went and saw all the memorials. Can't hear me now? How about, can you hear me now without the reverb? Yeah. Okay. We went up to go see all the memorials, and we went to Arlington Cemetery. And what a great pleasure it was to see the honor that our nation has decided that each one of our soldiers who passed away had deserved. We not only saw the World War I Memorial, World War II Memorial, the Korean War, and the Vietnam Memorial, but we saw just the Washington, D.C. Memorial, where that city decided to honor all their fallen heroes. And in each one of those memorials, I saw people, not just U.S. citizens, but citizens from around the world, thanking and remembering what the soldiers from America have done. Your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers sacrificed themselves not only for us here in America, but for nations all around this world. Our nation has decided to honor them with not only the memorials, but a whole day dedicated to their memory. Now, again, before we talk about Memorial Day, I think we should have an understanding of why we fight. Why do we go to war? Why do we sacrifice, our brave men and women? If you ask that question 1,000 times, you'll probably get 1,000 different answers. But the answers that come to my mind are we fight to protect ourselves and our values. We fight to protect those who can't protect themselves. Those countries or those people who are being oppressed by others and who are being put under the boot of tyranny. That's why we fight. We also humbly go and fight to support our friends. We have friends all over this world, and when they ask, we're there. If not us, then who? Because we're part of the greatest generation and the greatest nation on the world. Out of all the American citizens that we have, only a very small percentage has ever raised their hand and volunteered to serve. Brave men like my friend, Tim McGovern. He was my fellow company commander who was killed in Mosul, Iraq back in 2007. I talked to him on the phone the night before. He was in Mosul, I was in Baghdad. We called each other every week to talk about the things that were happening up there, because usually what happened up in Mosul generally just worked its way down to Baghdad. So he was my early warning. The last thing that I ever said to Tim was, hey, be careful out there on your mission tomorrow. He was killed by a roadside bomb that destroyed his Bradley fighting vehicle. It killed himself, his driver, but miraculously his gunner lived. They sat 6 inches apart. No one understands why his driver or why his gunner lived. We're just thankful that he did. On this day, I also think about a man whose name I never learned. I just always remember his call sign over the radio. His call sign was Dark Angel 16. We were tasked to go clear a road for him and make sure that he got out of town safely. We were coming back through to sweep the area again and hold a checkpoint when he came on the radio and told me that he had left early and that he was already on the road. I told my soldiers, we need to hurry up. We need to meet him halfway through and escort him out of town. That was when we heard the blast. We could see it from where we were at. By the time we got there, it was already too late. So on this day and many others, I remember my friend Tim, and I remember Dark Angel 16. This is why we serve. The last one is sort of why we're here today. Memorial Day. Why do we come from Memorial Day? When did it start? It started a long time ago, back in the Civil War, when the wives and mothers of our fallen brothers in arms went to go honor them. And ever since then, we've been doing the same thing. Every year, we come and we remember our fallen heroes. Our nation has decided that on this day, we will have a national day to honor all of our brave, heroic heroes. And it makes me very happy to know that not only in small towns like this, but in large cities all over this nation, that ceremonies are going on exactly like this all over this nation. It's not just a day to have the day off. It's not just a day to have a mattress sale. It's a day that we remember our fallen heroes. Our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our cousins, our brothers. On this day, we remember them. Hundreds of thousands have fallen in service to this nation. But to put it in a little bit of perspective for the state of North Carolina, in World War I, 800 brave North Carolinians gave their life. In World War II, 1,364 North Carolinians gave their life. Men like David Broughton from the U.S. Navy from Hereford, William Daniel from the U.S. Navy from Elizabeth City, Herbert Gray, U.S. Navy from Edenton, and Haywood Granberry, United States Navy, also here in Edenton. Those men raised their hand and went when others wouldn't. In the Korean War, North Carolina offered up 855 of its brave citizens, and that did not come home. Men like Melvin C. Copeland of the Army from right here in Edenton. And then Vietnam. 1,609 citizens of North Carolina also gave their lives. Men like Johnny Wimber, United States Army from right here in Edenton. And now in our current fight, Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom in Iraq, which is now over, thankfully, and Afghanistan. Men like Staff Sergeant Roman L. Woodard of the United States Army from right up the road in Hereford gave his life. The number when I originally looked up for OIF was 165. When I checked again before I hit the road yesterday, that number had grown to 168. 3 more men from North Carolina had lost their lives this past week. Let's remember them on this day. In closing, I ask you to think of and pray, not just on this day, but every day, the families of our fallen. Because for each one of those numbers and each one of those men that I just listed, there's a spouse, there's a child, there's a mother and a father who no longer have their loved one because he made the ultimate sacrifice. So let's think about them today and every day. Let's also think about our wounded warriors. Those men and women who were able to come home today and celebrate the loss of a friend, but they're still with us. And we're thankful for that. But don't just think of the wounded warriors of the men that you can see, with the wounds that you can see, whether it's in a lost limb or some other battle scar. Think of also the men and women of the wounds that you cannot see, the ones who carry those mental wounds all their lives. And lastly, let's remember our POW and MIA. They're still missing all over this world. But most importantly, let's remember Sergeant Bo Bagal from Idaho. He is currently still missing in Afghanistan today. He went missing in June of 2009. The organization that I work with, ARCENT, 3rd Army, and CENTCOM, the Central Command out of Tampa, Florida, have a photo of him up in our headquarters so that we don't forget him, that he is still our responsibility, and we will do everything we can to bring him home. The last thought I'll leave you with before I turn it back over is a thought of mine that I think of a lot. It was originally said by a chaplain. Well, I like to call, I told our chaplain here, I usually don't call people chaplain, I call him chaplain. But he was a chaplain from the 1800s. The first part is mine, and the rest is his. Soldiers never pray for war. Soldiers always pray for peace. Well, we always stand ready to fight when our nation calls. We do not ask for easier days. We only ask to be stronger men. Thank you.